Good afternoon, everybody. It's April 25th, 2024. And I was lucky to find a replacement woofer for this Wharfedale W60C. Okay? I bought this pair used, and one of the woofers had a rattling sound, like an annoying vibrating sound. So I said, all right, let me flip them over upside down. Maybe the noise will go away. I thought it did, but it didn't. And I already rebuilt these. I rebuilt the crossovers. I had to change out one of the tweeters, was bad. But they're nice speakers, and I was able to find an exact replacement woofer. These measure around 5 ohms DC resistance. So if you're ever looking for a replacement speaker, make sure that the DC resistance matches what you have. Otherwise, something's wrong. Now, if you overheated your voice coil, then your resistance measurement is going to not be accurate. It's not going to be accurate when you're replacing the woofer. So you want a measurement before you damage the speaker. Okay, so this is a W60C. These are from 1966. Now this is great because this woofer in here is date coded 12 of 66, and the replacement woofer is date coded 1 of 67. So they're very close. So for those of you who don't know what a Wharfedale W60C is, it's a 3-way speaker. This happens to be a ported cabinet, and woofer, mid-range tweeter. We're going to pull the cover off so you can see the drivers. Okay, for those of you that don't know what a W60C is, it's a 3-way speaker. It's ported, and 12-inch woofer. I believe that's a 5-inch mid-range, and then a Mylar tweeter. Very interesting tweeter design. These are kind of fragile, but they're still working, except the one I replaced. So there's screws here, 1, 2, 3, 4 to mount the woofer. And what else was I going to say? Oh, the covers are Velcro. See? Some of them are missing, but it still stays on. You can also buy this stuff if you want. Very nice cover. I love the accent piece of wood here. A little dusty, but beautiful speakers. I mean, these cabinets are a little rough, but that's okay. So that's what they look like from the front, and these drivers are all rear mounted. So we're going to have to take the back off this thing, which is a sand-filled back. Let's swing around here. These things weigh a ton. I'm going to weigh them and let you know. So these screws have to be removed. All these, there's 8 of them, these flatheads. Here's your crossovers here. And don't just pull this back off fast because the wires are short. You actually have to pull it off and then rotate it. So I'm probably going to seat this whole speaker face down. So these speakers also have a treble control and a mid-range control. Okay. So it's pretty easy to replace a woofer in these. Basically 4 nuts have to come off and 2 wires. I mean, you can't get any easier than that. Make sure your polarity is correct on the wires. Like I was saying before, Wharfedale makes a lot of woofers. So if you're ever replacing one, make sure it's the same. I got the exact one with the ridges in the center. Some are ridged all the way across the cone. These are paper cones with material surrounds, fabric surrounds. Let me get in here close. See the surrounds? They're inverted surrounds, and they're just cloth surrounds, so they won't, you know, turn to dust. But this woofer has a problem. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, I can hear a little what's called coil rub. The coil is a coil of wire around the cylinder, and that sits in a very small circle a very small cavity, if you will. So if the cone is off, even a little bit, it'll rub against the edges, and that's a problem, and it'll make an awful sound. Even if the voice coil is not burned out, you can have that mechanical issue, and that's what this woofer has. Even though it looks great and it measures fine, trust me, if you heard it, you wouldn't like it. So here's some of the tools. I mean, I overdid it with this ratchet set. Just to get the nuts off, there's 4 nuts. I don't know if I'm going to need the deep sockets. They're probably 8 or 9 millimeter. I'm not sure. Maybe 10. To get the back off, you're going to need a flathead screwdriver. And to cut and strip the wires, you need a stripper and a cutter. And then I have some alcohol here and some Q-tips. Isopropyl, 70% or 91%. That's fine. I like cleaning my solder joints. And some rosin core solder. I like cleaning my solder joints because the flux is corrosive, so I always just clean them with a little alcohol and Q-tips. And okay, let's dive into it. Oh, one more thing. Here's my stand. Got this beautiful phone stand so I can make videos. Usually I make videos holding the phone with one hand and working with the other, which is very difficult. But first I want to weigh this Wharfedale. So I just weighed the Wharfedale W60C, and it's 42.8 pounds. So these are heavy speakers. Now I'll show you mine. Mine has some damage. These are a little rough, but that's okay. So this is 42.8 pounds. Oh, and you also need a soldering iron. I forgot to mention that. 50 or 60 watt soldering iron. 40 would be good too. And here's my electrical box. We use this on cars and everything. Got all kinds of goodies in there. So 42.8 pounds. So make sure you're strong enough to lift these up, and make sure the table you're working on is strong enough to hold them, because they are pretty hefty. This is when they made real cabinets. Real wood. This is a walnut veneer, I think. Okay. Okay. Set up the tripod, the speaker's facing down. I'm not going to record this whole segment, but you basically have 8 screws to take out. I'll show you what they look like. This is what they look like. Wood screws. And there's 8 of them. So you just use a flathead and remove the 8 screws. And pause the vid. Alright, all the screws are out. I'm going to carefully lift the cover. Now be careful, I don't know if it's fiberglass or what, but try not to breathe in this liner. There's I'm just gonna, you don't want to pull on the wires, so I'm gonna rest that there. I already pulled on the blue wire. Let me relocate the camera. Let's see what we're getting. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna put the torch on a sec. Hold on. There we go. Where's my torch? All right, that's a little better. Now we have a little bit of length with the woofer wires. Now I'm not going to unsolder them because I'm just gonna leave a little piece of wire on them so I know which one is positive, which one's negative. And there's enough woofer wire here, and this label does not go on the woofer, it goes on the mid-range. So the tweeter and the mid-range have this label on them. I put it on the woofer by accident. So you could see I just the blue wire is a little short here, so okay. And your crossovers up in here. I made another video on this speaker. Oops. Okay. I keep pulling on the blue wire. Okay. Now I'm gonna cut and strip these. We know which one's positive. We know which one's negative. Very important you don't mix up your positive and your negative. Otherwise, you're going to get phase difference in the woofer cone. So both woofer cones should move the same. You don't want one moving in and one moving out, because then you're going to cancel your base. Your base will be out of phase. All right, I'm just going to pause this a sec and we'll continue. All right, I'm actually using a 10 millimeter, but I know it's not a 10 millimeter. These are English systems, so it's a little less than a 10 millimeter, but it's not a 9 millimeter. Very simple. I'm just loosening them with this. You know, you're not going to tighten these things. You're going to tighten them, but you're not going to tighten them too much. Otherwise, you'll pull the countersunk screw right through the wood if you overdo it. Okay, I'm just going to pause it while I remove the nuts. I'll show you. Show you what they look like. This is the easiest way to do this face down. So here's the nut. Here's the nut, and here's the flat washer. That's all these get is a nut and a flat washer. I'm surprised they don't vibrate off. You could use a little Loctite on here, but I never had one vibrate off before. Okay, I'm going to pause the video a sec. Okay, we're ready to, the woofer is loose. Now, remember what I said, there's enough slack in these wires, so I'm just going to do, I have smaller cutters than this. There we go. The woofer is free. Red's on top, guys. Red's on top. Now I gotta see how to get this sticker off that I glued onto the wrong speaker, because the sticker fell off the mid-range and was just floating around in the enclosure. So anyway, here's the woofer. So I'm gonna save this because maybe I can get it you know, get a new voice coil in it one day. It's funny because I don't really feel it rubbing, but it definitely makes a noise. Hear that? That's not good. That sounds like the voice coil is... That's not good. Okay, so you could see this is a bad speaker. I'm going to pause it while I get the replacement. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I have the replacement woofer, and it's quiet. Listen. No noise and no coil rub. The other one didn't have coil rub, but okay. Whoa, that's not smart. All right. Just gonna cut off the old wires. Cut off the old wires off the speaker. Hold on a sec. Okay. I'm gonna strip the wires a little bit. These are pretty small gauge. Like a 3/8 of an inch should be fine. Like that. I don't know if you could see. Not very high current. This is like a 30-watt speaker, so you really don't need thick wires. So they're nice and stripped. There's the insulation right there. All right. Like twisting the leads a little bit. I'm going to twist the leads. I don't know if you could see that. Okay. Now, in case I blow this woofer, I'm not going to stick the wire. I'm not going to wrap it, because if you wrap it, I'm going to stick it in and solder it. If you wrap it, it's definitely harder to get off. Okay, I'm going to pause the video a second. All right. I'm going to put the woofer in carefully. You don't want to drop it. One of my screws moved. One of the screws moved. All right, I'm gonna have to see why. Maybe I could just bend it back into place. Where are you? There you are. Now this one's a little off kilter. It's hard to believe that it didn't line up perfectly when this is a cast. Let me get that one on first. I don't want to press it all the way down until that I did not expect. I'm definitely not going to hold this in with just 3 screws. Okay. Oh, almost there. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew this one from the front and then screw it back in. Let me just take you with me here. Alright, just to keep the video of a decent length, all I'm going to do is unscrew this screw here. I don't know if it's this one here, because he's easy to get to, and I'm just going to screw it in through the hole of the basket. It's just slightly off, so I'm going to pause this a sec. You know what, I'm not going to pause it, because maybe you want to see this part. Oh, okay. I don't think you can see it. Adjust the camera. Let me adjust the camera here. There you go. Can you see it now? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yep, okay. So I'm unscrewing this one here. Just a little bit off. Okay. So what I'm going to do is unscrew it and then just screw it into the hole. See? It's very close. I could probably bend it, but I don't want to bend it. So I'm just unscrewing the flathead from the front of the speaker baffle. Sometimes the screw could be a little bent too. Let's see what we're looking like. Ah, almost there. She's very close. Unscrew a little more. You don't want to go through the cone with your screwdriver. Okay. There we go. We're practically all the way out. Okay. Now I'm going to see if I can screw this screw through the mounting hole. I may have to loosen them all. I'm going to loosen all the screws from the front. I didn't think I'd have to do this, but I don't want to just take up time on the video. So I'm going to unscrew all the screws from the front and screw them up into the holes. This way they'll have a better chance of lining up. Okay, this is interesting. This woofer just has holes for the mounting. Can you see that? Those are just holes, okay? But the woofer that came out, oh, let me get my phone set up here so I could show you. The woofer that came out slots. So it looks like from, I mean, these are not too far apart in age. So that's interesting. This one has slots. That's why the screws didn't fit. So I'm going to just slightly drill out that one. Okay. You can see the bolt right there. I only have to drill it out a tiny bit. It's soft aluminum. So I'm going to go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the screw that comes from the front. It's a countersunk screw, so you really don't want to drill this hole out too much. You can drill it out a little bit, but you don't want to drill it out too much because then this screw is going to pull through and you're going to have to put a washer or something. So I'm going to drill the wood out just a little bit, and then you come over here, I'm going to drill this hole out. This is the hole. I'm going to drill this one out a little bit. So I'm not just drilling the wood and I'm not just drilling the aluminum basket. I'm going to do a little bit of both. This way, either one of them isn't compromised too much. It's not a compromise because these were oblong in the woofer that was in there. So that's why this didn't fit, because those had the oblong holes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drill this out a little bit, drill the wood out a little bit, and then we should be good. And if I go through the cone, then c'est la vie. Just a little bit bigger. I'm going to pause this to get some of the shavings out of the speaker. Hold on a sec, please. Okay, everybody. So what I did was this hole, I drilled it out a little bit in the aluminum basket. There's plenty of meat around there. It's fine to do that, because you don't really want to drill the wooden hole, because it's wood and you'll just weaken it. I honestly, off camera, I drilled up through the front with a bit that was only slightly larger than the bolt coming through. And that did the trick. So it wasn't off by a lot. Notice the speaker orientation is the same as the old one. This is my positive, that's my negative. So everything is threaded by hand. I threaded all the nuts by hand. So now we're just using the 3/8. It's amazing how they don't spin from the front, these things. I mean, you could hold them with your finger, but so I'm just giving this a good tighten. Okay, that one's spinning from the front. Of course, once I say they don't spin from the front, it spins from the front. This one, I'm just going to put the screwdriver on it. Okay, it's a flathead, so there we go. Oh, sorry, hitting the tripod. Oh, magnet works. Okay. So let me see if I could tighten everything now. Send it home. Of course, not too tight. So we got a little sidetracked, but you know what? That's okay. Oh, that's tight. Okay. Whew. Just do the star pattern here. I mean, it's a big woofer, so it's got to be tight, but there we go. Uno más. One more. Oh, let me get my extension for this one. Okay. This is a 3/8. All right, now Do a quick plugging in of my soldering iron over here. That's what the rumbling about is. Okay, fire that baby up. All right, while that's heating up, we're gonna now see the lead wires. These go to the voice coil. I'm not gonna go near them. I'm going to go inside here. I'll show you. Make it nice and easy. Every time I say something's easy. All right. Can you see? Just making a U, little bend with it. Same with the negative. I'm sticking it through the terminal. Up. Gonna tighten, twist this a little bit. There we go. We threaded the needle. All right, so I just put them, as you could see, I just bent them over the sides a little bit. Okay. Is the polarity right? Are we still taking? Yes, we're still taking. Okay, the iron is ready. So the final steps are going to be to solder the wires, clean them with alcohol and isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips. And last but not least, I'll screw the back on. Okay. I hope you can. Let me just make sure you could see this. Yeah, you could see it. Let me zoom in. You know, we have all this technology here. Let me not. I'm holding the iron with my hand. Watch I melt my phone with it. All right, we're gonna zoom in. Oh. Okay, right there. Well, can this thing please stay in one place? Okay. I'm still getting used to the new tripod here. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, one more thing. One more thing now. You know, there's not like there's a million of these woofers around town, so just in case some solder drops. See? I've been soldering since I was like 5 years old, or who knows, my whole life. So, but hey, anyone can make a mistake. Okay. I just don't want molten solder to go on the cone that's as old as me. Bent the terminal down a little bit. All right, not too much solder, not too little solder. Okay. I'll leave the napkin under here while I use the alcohol. Alcohol on a Q-tip. I just like cleaning it. I mean, why not? at the other side. I think I'm spilling more alcohol on the tile floor than I'm getting on the Q-tip here. Okay, so we have a good solder joint. Boy, these microprocessor controlled soldering irons are really nice. Okay. I'm going to pause this 1 sec. All right, everybody. All right, I inspected my solder joints, and they're pretty good, but I just felt that I wanted to add a little more solder on them. That's what I'm doing now. Probably because I can't really see down in here that well. Be a little more generous with the solder. There we go. Same on this side. Remember, you got to heat the terminal and the wire. Much better. All right, I'm happy with that. Got to heat the terminal and the wire. This iron gets very hot. It's microprocessor controlled, so you know, you don't want to apply too much heat. And if you apply too much heat, you're going to unsolder your voice coil wires, and you don't want to do that. Okay. Much better soldering. I think my eyes are going. All right. See how nice and shiny? Could you imagine me on the Wharfedale assembly line at the speed I'm working at here? These speakers would cost $1 million. Oh, how beautiful. Okay. Nice and clean and shiny. Got some of that corrosive whatchamacallit, out of there. I'm gonna take the phone out of my stand here a sec. See if I can show you the crossover. There's the crossovers. I rebuilt them. Can you see? Yeah. So those 3 orange ones are 12 microfarads each, summing to 36 microfarads, feeding the mid-range. And the little green one is a 2.2 microfarad, feeding the tweeter. Okay. All right, so we're done here. I got this from a company called BibTech. Tom, very nice man. I asked him if he would do a DC resistance measurement. He did that for me, and it matched my old ones. My old ones are like 5 ohms, so tells you the coil's good. And so now we're just going to screw in the 8 screws, and we're done. Alright, I think my camera might have shut off. Sorry about that. Anyway, I started screwing down the screws here. There's 8 of them. Okay. My battery is going dead. So I'm not tightening them. I'm getting them all seated all the way down. And then I'm going to make a final pass tightening them. I'm just going to shut the camera off just to save some battery power here. Okay, I'm snugging the screws down. I did that one. These are slotted, so you gotta press a little hard. And then the final center top and bottom one. And that's it. I'll show you the front once more. So you could see the pattern of the ridges on this cone. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 5 of them. So there's the new old woofer. These are the screws. Thank you for joining me on replacing the woofer in the Wharfedale W60C. 3-way speaker from like 1966. Have a great night, everybody. And there's the old one. This is the one that makes a wonderful noise. So I'm glad I was able to find a replacement to this. Okay. Bye-bye.